In the shadows of our past, whispers of untold stories echo through time, stories that have captivated generations, leaving us to wonder about the mysteries that lurk in the darkest corners of American history. I'm Charlotte Harper, and I'm honored to be your new guide through these fascinating tales on American shadows. To our loyal listeners who have journeyed with this show through the past few weeks, I want to acknowledge the incredible foundation laid by our previous hosts. Their dedication to uncovering these compelling stories has created something truly special, and I'm humbled to continue this legacy. Today, we set sail into one of maritime history's most enduring mysteries, a tale that has puzzled investigators and fascinated storytellers for generations. Let's begin our journey into the haunting disappearance of the Mary Celeste. On November 7th, 1872, the Mary Celeste departed from New York Harbor on what should have been a routine voyage to Genoa, Italy. The 282-ton brigantine was carrying a cargo of denatured alcohol, valued at more than $35,000. A fortune for that time. At her helm stood Captain Benjamin Briggs, an experienced mariner with an impeccable reputation for seamanship. The crew that day consisted of 7 men, all carefully selected by Captain Briggs himself. Also aboard were his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. The Briggs family had made the unusual decision to journey together, perhaps seeing it as an adventure, unaware they were sailing into legend. The morning of their departure was crisp and clear, with favorable winds pushing them eastward across the Atlantic. The Mary Celeste was in excellent condition, having recently undergone extensive renovations. Her hull was sound, her rigging new, and her crew well provisioned for the month-long journey ahead. Captain Briggs had even written to his mother the day before departure, expressing his optimism about the voyage. The ship's log, later recovered, showed nothing unusual in those first few days at sea. Regular entries detailed weather conditions, nautical calculations, and the mundane daily activities of life aboard a merchant vessel. The last normal entry was made on November 25th, placing the Mary Celeste just east of the Azores. What happened after that would transform this ordinary commercial voyage into one of the most enduring maritime mysteries of all time. On December 5th, 72, the Canadian brigantine Dei Gratia was making its way through the Atlantic when her crew spotted a vessel approximately 6 miles distant. Captain David Morehouse raised his telescope and immediately recognized the ship as the Mary Celeste, a vessel he knew should have already arrived in Italy. Something wasn't right about her erratic movement through the waters. As the Dei Gratia drew closer, they noticed the Mary Celeste was yawing heavily, her sails partially set but damaged. Despite repeated hails, no one responded from the deck. No one appeared to be at the helm. After several hours of observation, Captain Morehouse made the decision to investigate. First Mate Oliver DeVoe led a boarding party to the Mary Celeste. What they found was inexplicable. The ship was in generally good condition, but completely abandoned. One of the ship's pumps was disassembled, and there was about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, but nothing that would cause alarm on a ship this size. The vessel was still seaworthy. In the captain's cabin, they found signs of a hasty departure. Captain Briggs' navigational equipment was still there, along with his pocket watch and sextant. The crew's belongings remained in their quarters, including warm clothing and rain gear. Sarah Briggs' melodeon still sat in its place, and little Sophia's toys were scattered across the cabin floor. The ship's log was found in the mate's cabin, with its last entry dated November 25th. 9 days had passed since then. The cargo hold contained 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, all perfectly intact. In the galley, they found food stores still fresh and untouched. A pot of coffee sat on the cold stove, and plates with uneaten breakfast remained on the table, as if the crew had suddenly abandoned their morning meal. The only missing items were the ship's papers, chronometer, and a single lifeboat, which appeared to have been deliberately launched rather than torn away. A length of rope, still tied to the ship, trailed in the water behind the vessel, suggesting the lifeboat might have been tethered to the Mary Celeste at some point. When the Mary Celeste was finally brought to Gibraltar, a thorough investigation was launched by Her Majesty's Advocate General, Frederick Solly Flood. Every inch of the vessel was scrutinized for clues that might explain the crew's disappearance. The initial examination revealed several peculiar details that only deepened the mystery. The ship's logbook showed that the Mary Celeste had sailed through some rough weather, but nothing severe enough to warrant abandoning ship. A sword was found on deck with suspected rust marks that some initially thought might be blood, but chemical analysis proved otherwise. More intriguingly, investigators discovered marks on the ship's bow that suggested a possible collision or scraping against something, though the damage was minimal. In the cargo hold, 9 of the alcohol barrels were found empty. This led to speculation about the possibility of fumes building up in the hold. The investigating team noted that the main hatch cover was open, contrary to standard practice during rough weather. This detail would later become crucial in developing theories about what might have spooked the crew. Sollyflood's investigation revealed no signs of violence, no evidence of piracy, and no indication of insurance fraud. The cargo was worth $35,000, a significant sum for the time, and remained untouched. The crew's valuables were still in their cabins, and 6 months' worth of food and water supplies were found intact. The ship's financial records showed that Captain Briggs had recently invested his life savings in his share of the vessel, making it unlikely he would have abandoned it without extreme cause. One of the most perplexing discoveries was the state of the ship's pumps. While one was disassembled, investigators found that this was likely for routine maintenance. The amount of water in the hold was not unusual for a vessel of this size, especially considering the recent rough weather. Yet something had convinced the experienced Captain Briggs and his crew that abandoning ship was their only option. The official inquiry concluded that there was no evidence of foul play, but it failed to provide a satisfactory explanation for the crew's disappearance. Sollyflood ultimately recorded an open verdict, noting that while the crew had likely abandoned ship in haste, the reason for their actions remained a mystery. The investigation's inability to reach a definitive conclusion would only fuel speculation for generations to come. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged to explain the fate of the Mary Celeste's crew, each attempting to make sense of the perplexing evidence left behind. Perhaps the most scientifically plausible explanation involves the cargo of industrial alcohol. The 9 empty barrels discovered in the hold might have leaked, creating explosive alcohol fumes. If the crew detected these fumes, they may have opened the hatches for ventilation and temporarily abandoned ship, expecting to return once the danger passed. But Mother Nature offers other possibilities. Some experts suggest that a seaquake could have rocked the vessel, creating the illusion of imminent disaster. In the North Atlantic's unpredictable waters, such phenomena were not uncommon. The crew, believing their ship was breaking apart, might have taken to the lifeboat only to be swallowed by the merciless sea. A more dramatic theory points to a possible waterspout, a powerful rotating column of water that could have terrified the crew into abandoning ship. The minimal damage to the vessel's bow and the open hatches could support this hypothesis. Imagine the terror of witnessing such a phenomenon approaching your vessel, especially in an era when these natural occurrences were poorly understood. Some researchers propose a more psychological explanation. Could the crew have fallen victim to mass hysteria? The combination of rough seas, strange noises from shifting cargo, and the natural isolation of ocean travel might have convinced them that their ship was doomed. The disassembled pump and the marks on the bow might have fed into their fears, leading to a fatal overreaction. Of course, darker theories persist. Tales of piracy, murder, and insurance fraud have circulated since the ship's discovery, though these fail to account for the untouched cargo and valuables. Some even suggest supernatural explanations, from sea monsters to alien abductions, though these belong more to folklore than serious investigation. What remains undeniable is that somewhere in the vast Atlantic, the true fate of the Mary Celeste's crew lies hidden, perhaps forever beyond our reach. The Mary Celeste has become more than just another maritime disaster. It stands as the quintessential ghost ship story, a mystery that has captivated imaginations for nearly 150 years. The case has inspired countless books, documentaries, and dramatic retellings, each attempting to unlock its secrets. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle himself wrote a fictional account that helped cement the ship's legendary status, though his sensationalized version strayed far from the known facts. Even today, the Mary Celeste continues to intrigue maritime historians, scientists, and amateur sleuths alike. Its legacy lives on in our collective fascination with unexplained disappearances and maritime mysteries. The ship's name has become synonymous with abandonment and unexplained absence. Any mysteriously deserted vessel is inevitably compared to the Mary Celeste. As we conclude this episode, we're left with a humbling reminder that even in our modern age of technological advancement and scientific understanding, some mysteries remain beyond our grasp. The fate of Captain Briggs, his family, and his crew continues to whisper to us across the centuries, a testament to the ocean's power to keep its secrets. This has been Charlotte Harper for American Shadows, where we illuminate the darkest corners of history. Until next time, keep searching for answers in the shadows.